All right, 42, 43, rounding numbers. We'll start it up today for a while, finish it up on Monday. No homework then. So, no doubt you have done rounding before. I'm certain of that. Start rounding at a pretty young thing. Rounding is, what's the point? What do we do with any of this stuff? Why bother? So, rounding, estimating, they have their time and place in the math world. But as a student, which you guys are, the vast majority of your math career will be spent solving problems, not estimating and rounding stuff here. When we're finding angle, or I mean anything, I don't need to know about how many angles that triangle you think it is. I need to know exactly how many it is. I don't need to know how much about this answer is. I want to know what exactly the answer is. So we don't really do a ton of rounding in math per se. It's not like you're going to show up to high school and let's round some figures. I mean, no. You don't technically really use it in the real world for a whole lot of stuff, like, you know. So what are we doing here? So rounding is designed to be more like a mental math type exercise. And when I say mental math, I'm saying you should be able to do it in your head. Now, I need you to do homework, and you got to show me how to round and all that, because you're kids. So you got to show me a little more. But as you move along in your life, rounding should be a mental math exercise. How can you apply it to the real world? Well, I'll just give you my example. Other classes have heard this type of example from me, but I'm particularly cheap in general, very thrifty, known to dumpster dive from time to time. Oh yeah. You got a soda and chip distributor in town. Did you know that? That distributes Pepsi and Mountain Dew and Ruffles and Cheetos. Well, they throw out cases upon cases of soda when they expire and potato chips. Yeah, they're just all in boxes. They just throw them in their dumpster. But they're still all wrapped and everything. So some of the 7th and 8th graders, like Sam, they've really got into this too. Cade Hamilton was huge on the hill. He's out doing it now. So now I got competition for my sodas and chips. But I've been to many a places. But so besides, one of the things that I do to save money is Economart has a free item every week. Did you know that? Every week there's this free item. You got to spend $20 and you get the free item. I think last week was potato chips, the Our Family potato chips. So they rotate around the free item every week, but potato chip, free bag of potato chips. If you spend $20, that's the thing. So what most people do is they go food shopping once a week or whatever, and they buy what they need and, call it good. But then there's Mr. Melcher. I will go to Economart 5 times a week, and I will spend as close to $20 as possible in each one of those 5 trips. No, instead of spending $100 once and getting 1 free item, I spend $20 5 times and get 5 free items a week. Right? 5 bags of potato chips, that's $10 that I saved this week here. So $10. Well, I get that here. I give some away. I have more napkins. I am ready for my kids' to graduation parties and then some, because they give away napkins. And how many napkins do you need? 100 pack of napkins. I mean, who even uses napkins at their own house? I don't. I use my shirt. So I have all these napkins, but someday my kids will graduate something and we'll have to have a party, and I got the napkins covered already. So. But anyway, as I go through Economart and make my purchases here, as you know, most things everywhere in the world aren't just $3, $7, $8. They're something like this. If I go buy some oranges, they might be $1.49. You don't have to. I'm just making up. So oranges, and let's say I buy some soda, that's $4.99, and I buy a thing of rice for $2.79, and I buy some eggs for $3.19, and I'll buy some hamburger for $9.99, and then I'll buy a thing of soda for 99 cents. So, question is, how much money have I spent, or how much is in my cart? Do I got 20 bucks? Do I not? Should I buy more? How do I know? So I would use some rounding exercise, and I can keep track of these numbers in my head. Now, when you're rounding, you always look at the digit right next door to what you're rounding to, right? Remember the rules for rounding? What are they, Charlotte?
Below 5 is number stays the same, and above 5 you change either if you do 100 or something.
Does that ring a bell to you guys? I found different kids have different sayings. 0 to floor, touch the floor. 5 to high, raise you to the sky. That's
4 to
one.
4, 5 to the sky.
Right. So, right. So clearly, I'm saying something. You guys are somewhat remembering, but 0 to 4. I say round down, but round down, stay the same. They are one and the same, just depending how you think it. But 5 to 9 is always round up to the next value. Always round up here. So, yes.
So, Miss Berkeley was trying to explain this, saying it was something about like bubblegum dispenser. No, that was Miss Collins. Oh, yeah, that was Miss Collins. Oh, I got confused.
So, truthfully, if I had this, I could I keep track of the 50 senses in my head, because I can go 50-50, but we'll just round a whole. So I have a 4. I would call this about $1. $4.99. A 9 means round up, so I'd call that about $5. A 7, round up, so we're going to call that $3. A 1, round down, that's $3. $9.99. A 9, round up. What comes after 9? So that would round up to 10. 99 cents, same deal. That's close to $1. And in my head, what's 1 plus 5? 6. What's 6 plus 3? What's 9 plus 3? What's 12 plus 10?
22.
22. What's 22 plus 1? So, just using some rounding skills and some mental math exercises, I would guess I have about 23 bucks in my cart right now. Should I head on up to the checkout line with my coupon? Yeah, I think it's time to go. I think it's time to go. Maybe I should even put some of these $1 things back here. but just real quickly here, if I add up all these numbers, hopefully I get something around $23. Might I get 22? Sure, that's close. Might I get 24? Yeah, that's all right. But hopefully I don't get something like $74 when I add up this stuff here, right? So $1.49 plus $4.99 plus $2.79 plus $3.19 plus $9.99 plus 99 cents, grand total $23.44. My estimate is about $23 I have on hand. These numbers both seem to jive with each other. I can feel good that my estimate is close to what I actually have in the cart, right? I'm 44 cents off, but could I do all this math in my head? No, I couldn't. Not keeping track of all these nines, and I would never be able to keep track of this. But could I do this in my head, one thing at a time? Right, I just need to remember 6 as I go to the next item. But this is what you use rounding and estimating for. It's designed to do mental math type stuff that you can make an approximation. Sometimes you may be looking at a room and say, I need to get carpet or something for this room. You don't know the measurements, but you're finding the area of a room. You could guess it looks about 10 feet that way, 12 feet that way, I'd guess. So if it's 10 feet that way, 12 feet that way, what's the area of the room? Anybody? No? Area.
Oh, 10 times 12?
Yep.
100. I want to do that right now.
And then it would be in whatever, probably feet, square units, but that would be another example of me using some rounding and estimating. I may not know. I may measure it out with the ruler and it's like 12 and 7/8 feet this way, and this other way is 9 and 3/4 of a foot.
What can I do it?
And I could do it, but I could also just be like, let's just call that 12. I should probably make this like 3/8 because otherwise we'd round up to 13, right? So 3/8. So round to 12, round to 10. I'm thinking it's about 120 square feet of carpet. I need to know that number because if I'm placing an order, do you have about 120 square feet on hand? They'll know what the carpet place. If I'm selling you carpet, you're going to want to know how much that's going to cost. I can tell you about how much 120 square foot of carpet will cost you right now. I got that number for you. And a lot of people understand. Sometimes when you get major work done, you will get an estimate. They'll provide a thing, but rounding is a thing. You just make up rough numbers. It'll be about $100 to fix that, and labor will be about $75. And then they'll go through and they'll give you a final bill. Maybe it's a little more, maybe it's a little less. Hey, we actually had that part on hand and left over. I'm just going to give you that for free. They'll take that off. Hey, when we were going through, we found another issue farther down. That added another hour to your time, type of stuff. So I realize a lot of talking going on here, but what I'm trying to illustrate to you is rounding does have a place in our life, but in math homework world, it doesn't have as much of a place. What you should and can, and the book I'll have you do, and we'll practice this, is when we get to some real problems here on 1-9, it'll say estimate, it'll say find the answer. So if we were using some rounding here, we call this about 30, this about 10, this about 40, 40, 30, and 10 is 80. I should get an answer around 80 here when I solve this problem in a couple days. That's what we will use our rounding for. Does our real answer seem close to our mental math rounded answer? If the answer is no, something's wrong. Something is wrong. And you should go back and figure out what's wrong. Probably rework the problem. If your actual answer does not make any sense compared to what your rounded answer is in your head, something is wrong. And that's why we can use rounding. It can help you identify the errors. So, I am looking at the bottom of page 42 here. And it says round each number to the place of the underlying digit. So, first one here, number 1. Yes, write it. From now, let's start writing here. Time to write. Monday, we're going to continue this lesson. You can just continue your notes exactly where you left off. So, no homework today. No homework, right? We're giving you the Friday off. You guys deserve it. So, you guys have worked very hard. I'm very proud of you. So, anyway, directions say round to the place of the underlying digit. So the first thing I need to know, that 6 is in which place value? It's in the 10,000s column. So what they're asking me to do is round this to the nearest 10,000. Which means, what are my two possible answers I could have here? There's two choices of answers. If I round down, I could get this. If I round up, I could get that. What are my two possible answers, Dominic?
200,000.
That's rounding to the nearest 100,000. But I'm rounding to the nearest 10,000. Anybody? Nobody knows what the two possible is?
But if it rounds up, it
So here's the deal. I'm rounding to the nearest 10,000. I'm rounding to here, which means either this number could round down to 160,000 or round up to 170,000. And how do I know? Well, whatever the underlying digit is, all I really care about here is the digit that's underlined and whatever's next door to it. Everything else I'm covering up. See, these other four numbers I don't care about right now. It's just my underlying digit and whatever's next door to it. So what do I have next door? And going back to our little laws and rules and jingles we talked about, when we have a 3, what does that tell us for rounding? Anybody? Yeah. Down or stay the same, right? A 3. So therefore, am I staying at 160 or am I rounding up to 170? Right, I stay right here. Same number. But this time, I want to round it to that place value, right there. So, same number, but I want to round it to what? What place value do I want to round to? That could be one of my answers, or what would be my other answer? 163,130, or right, 162,120, because now I'm rounding to the nearest 10. So once again, everything else gets covered up. It's just all about the place I'm rounding to and the things. Whatever comes before the underlying digit needs to be in your answer. Whatever comes after the line will all turn into zeros. And again, we'll practice this a bit here. So I'm saying I'm rounding to the nearest 10. Either I'm going to round down to 163,120, or I'm going to round up to 163,130. Which way am I going to round this thing? Up. How do you know?
Because 30 is bigger than 1, and the 8 is bigger than the 4.
Right. Well, we go to our rules here. Whatever's next door in 8, and if I got a 5 through 9 to the sky, 0 to 4, stay where you're at, or the floor. So this time I'd be looking for that answer. So one more time, same number. 163,128. This time, round it to the nearest 1,000. So round that number, 163,128 to the nearest 1,000 this time. Yes. I assure you I can do it. I have no issues doing it. So this time we rounded it to the nearest 10,000, 160,000, or 170,000. 10,000s. This time we rounded it to the nearest 10. 163,120 or 163,130 to the nearest 10. This one we're going to the nearest 1,000. So if I round down, 163,000. If I round up, 164,000. Which way am I rounding?
163.
Right, because I have a 3. Remember, cover everything else up. It's only about your underlying digit and whatever's next door to it. And whatever's next door to it is the one you care about. That's the one you care about. 0 through 4, stay here. 5 through 9, you need to move up 1. We're rounding you up. But whatever numbers come before the line need to be in my answer. We're rounding down. Whatever comes after the line, 1, 2, 3, turns into zeros. So this one would be 163,000. So each one of these gave us a slightly different answer, right? And that's to be, sometimes it works that way. It happens like that. But each one of these is rounded to a different place value. This answer here is much more precise than this answer is over here, because I rounded out much farther. 160,000 and 163,130, this is a lot more specific than this is, right? But, and then 163,000 is more specific than 160,000, but less specific than 163,120. So depending, we're not going to get through this much or talk about it much, but you consider precision when you're rounding. How far do I really need to round this thing here? When I did money, I basically rounded to the nearest dollar, right? That's good enough here. But different things here, you may have to round to more precise measurements or less precise, just depending what you're doing with it here. But whatever place digit you're working with, again, will impact what your answer will look like to an extent. Okay? Your head's hurt a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to put 3 of them up there, and then we're going to be done for today. So we're going to do 3 more over here on Monday. We'll watch our videos, and then we're going to work on this next side here on Monday, okay? So 3 more. See what you can do with it. We'll cover this again tomorrow. Number 4. And again, rounding to the underlying digit. So it's very helpful if you understand what place value that is. And if you can just consider what are your 2 possible options you could have for an answer. Either you're going to round up or you're going to stay where you're at. There's only 2 options really available to you for an answer. And if you're able to pick that up, then you got everything you're going to need here for this lesson. So underlining the 5 here, underlining the 3 here, and underlining this 3 here too. They're all in different place values, so I'll give you a couple minutes here. Yeah, that means 2 of you don't get to have a problem today. I apologize to you too. I'm sure you're crushed and saddened by that. The flip side, 3 of you are about to talk to me here. I'm like, I already know where you. I think I know where all 5 of you sit on this question here. All right, number 4. You can just tell me the answer. I don't need you to break it all down like I did. So, Thatcher, what are you thinking here?
6,600,000.
Yes, that is correct. Good. So, again, he found the 5. He went next door, saw the 8. I'm rounding up. And then everything after becomes zeros. 6,600,000. Good, Thatcher. Number 5. Really, Dominic? Like, I need to hear more from you. All right, Dominic. Number 5.
40 million.
40 million. Right.
That's it.
Rounding to the nearest. It's the first digit. There's nothing before, so all of this is turning into zeros because everything's after. 6 tells you to round up. It's either 40 million or 30 million. Rounding all the way up there, 40 million. All right, girls. Well, one of you 3 is about to talk to me. Kena.
I didn't do that.
Kena's working on it here. She's pondering her future as a girl in the world. All right, ma'am, what do you got for us?
84,192,000.
93,000? 93,000. We either stay where we're at or we would go up to 4. We'll never ever fall down to 2. So it would either be 93,000 or 94,000. And that's why the round down thing is so weird, because you don't really go down. You stay where you're at. You don't go down. It's poorly worded in that regard, but these are the two numbers we care about. A 1 tells me to stay where I'm at or round down, so I stay at 3. Don't go down to 2. It's either stay where you're at or go to the next level. But 84,193,000. There we go. You two, I'm sure I'll check with you on Monday. I apologize, Emma and Charlotte, that you didn't get to. I know you. I asserted it worked out. So it's, the sticks, they are what they are. Some days they're your friends, and some days they ain't.
Thank you, Stick. Thank you, Stick.
Yes, you're so cute.